Hey guys, welcome back, it's Meg. Today we are going to be running a 25 Fortified Necrotic Wake. This is the first of many commentaries that we will be doing for Season 3 of Shadowlands. You can find my Legendary and Unity in the top right corner, my talent choices and trinkets in the bottom right by the damage meters, and then my stat weights are in the top left. This was before I had done any work with Night Fae, so going back, if this were another 25 Fortified, I would probably run Night Fae in here just because there isn't that many healing checks. The second and the last boss would be your biggest concerns, but overall I think that we would actually benefit more from Night Fae in here. We're having a couple problems with threat today, so we went ahead and lusted. I popped Fort Brew and Fallen Order just to give us a little bit of maintenance healing. While I was DPSing, the Fort Brew was more of a failsafe just in case I got meleeed a couple of times. I also went ahead and popped my Resonant Reservoir. You're not able to pre-stack it anymore, so it was only one stack unfortunately, but it's better than nothing, so I went ahead and used that on the big pull as well. It is a bolstering week, so these mobs are actually a little bit dangerous when you get the throw flesh. If you get two people targeted with them and it's like 2 stacks of bolstering, they're probably going to be dead unless they already had a defensive running, and even then they are going to get pretty low. So it is pretty important to try and top them as quickly as you can. Having nameplates that have the target that's going to be receiving the throw flesh is very, very helpful, so you know if they can stand to wait a little bit and let your hots do it more, or if you actually need to vivify them or even cocoon them to make sure that they don't end up dying. Boss is no longer bolsters, so we are going to be pulling a pack into the boss with these Carrion Orbs. They'll do most of our damage and healing here, but I also do pop Crane just to get it on cooldown and just to help the orbs out a little bit because they don't always handle everything. We try to kill here, but because of our cleave, we actually end up getting Vi. Ovi ends up dying through her fleshcraft here. She had threat on a blight bag and then she immediately got the throw up, so I ended up killing her, but there wasn't really a whole lot that we could do. This boss is honestly pretty boring now. There's not really a whole lot for us to do. The orbs do most of it, and then it's kind of just single target, and everyone else takes care of themselves with defensives on the wretch, so you can do as much single target as you can. It's not a lot, but you know, keep on punching and kicking. Going into this pull, and actually pretty much every pull, we are going to be trying to get That's why I go ahead and target him first. Sometimes I will even use Todd on him just to make sure that we get it if there's a lot of cleave happening. But on this pull, I'm mainly just trying to make sure that no one gets double throw fleshed. If it is, we are trying to desync them, stun them, stop them, calling for any defensives if they have them available, and generally just trying to avoid someone getting one taps during this pull because again, it is bolstering and it's also fortified. On the boss, we didn't end up getting so my mana's a little bit low. I went ahead and popped Crane here just to finish out this pull before we kill to get the buff and replenish my mana as well as all of our health. I just wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of throughput left still just to get people through to that buff so they don't get throw fleshed. Popping Fallen Order here just because we have a couple of things going out, Grim Fate as well as Bolts. We have the mage in the back there, he's marked as X. He is currently taken by one of the Death Knights, so he's not gonna be a concern of ours, but these Necrotic Bolts are just a little bit of a danger for Blood DK, so I'm gonna pop Fallen and just kind of spin to win. By the time we need it again, it'll be up. You can kind of use your reservoir on cooldown. I don't like using it on single targets, but if it's going to be up after a boss dies, you can use it on bosses, but generally I try to use it when it's at least 4 targets. 3 is less than desirable, but it's still nice, and then obviously anything more than 4 or 5 is going to be a lot of value out of that. I only have 1 stat going into the next pull, which is the Narzuda pull, but I will also have Crane, we also have the Orb, and the remainder of our Anima Exhaust from the Goliath from Kyrian, so the pull's going to be pretty easy. I do lose a couple people to Grim Fate because Narzuda was double bolstered and the person who got it didn't have any defensives. I didn't have Cocoon, so there's nothing we could do there other than just kind of, you know, shrug it off and run back. Ovi gets the Grim Fate here. He's not quite bolstered, but she actually does end up dying to it. I don't think that she had expected it to do quite as much damage, and honestly I didn't either. So that was a 0 bolster Necrotic with no defensive. That is going to do a good enough amount of damage to be able to kill you on a 25. That is just something to note. Now we know this is the first 25 we had stepped into, and then our next Grim Fate that we get actually does end up killing Zen. He doesn't quite have his AMS back up for it, and Narzuda does have 2 bolster stacks at that point. The bolster stack has dropped off and Jambi has Astral Shift running, but it still does a good chunk of his health, so something to be aware. You are probably not going to live this unless you have extremely high verse or you have a defensive running, and even with the defensive with bolster stacks, you might end up dying anyway, unless you have an immunity. I do pop Fallen Order here, that was a misclick. I did not mean to use it here, I wanted to use it on the next pack, but it's not a very difficult week, so it's alright that I accidentally used it here. It'll be up by the time we need it for boss. Because I accidentally used Fallen Order earlier, I went ahead and just sent Crane here instead in place of it, and then we'll just be relying mostly on the orbs in the next pull to do all of the healing for us. This is our big pull that we are using the animal exhaust for. I think that this pull is actually a little scary on bolstering. We want to try to get wool here so we can use it to skip. We end up getting Vi, and then we're also just going to be trying to not get frontaled or bolted or shadow weld. So this pull is a lot more difficult on a bolstering week for sure, but it is definitely still very efficient to use the Kyrian orbs for this. This boss has changed a little bit in the sense that you won't have a cooldown for every single phase where you need healing now, so you need to make sure that you are keeping your hots extended. When dies here, you can kind of ride that CDR. You can use it to put out all of your renewing mists and then extend them a couple of times with Rising Sun Kick because that's also affected by the CDR. So I'm going to go ahead and use Fallen Order here. Normally I wouldn't, and I would just rely on the healing to do it, but judging by the boss's health, it was going to die super quickly anyway, so I just wanted to get the value out of it. I'm not really using my Renewing Mist here just because I didn't really feel like I needed to, but I would recommend that you do it just to get into the good habit of it. Fallen Order I think was a bit overkill here, but as you can see, we're already at half health. I still have Crane and Revival. So this boss isn't very scary anymore just because the damage that the DPS gained coming into Season 3 was significant. There's way more power than any healer got, so being able to kind of rely on them to just kill it faster, as silly as that sounds, is actually very, very helpful to us, and we don't have to play as perfectly to avoid the damage and avoid the power loss that we lose from things like the mana orbs from Varuth or the Sagadon shields. I had mentioned earlier that we were having some problems with threat, so unfortunately Zen gets threat almost immediately on this pull, and he ends up dying with cooldowns, so we're going to go ahead and just pop Fallen Order. Spin to win. I'm not giving him any attention because you can see he has that debuff indicating that he's dead, but he is Bonesmith Airmere, so he's still alive for a couple of seconds, but they can't do any healing. So he's going to go ahead and fly back up, and we're just going to continue spinning, trying to do as much damage as we can, starting to pop defensives for when these Stitchfleshes start to come out because they are a bit bolstered. On the next pack, I go ahead and I use Crane as we pull into the other pack just because we are a little bit low on mana. I'm about at half here. These guys don't do a whole lot, but we are just going to be chaining them into the next group where we have relics to kill as well as a couple other throw flesh and throw cleavers going out. So Crane is more of a mana saver here than it is an actual healing cooldown. We're not going to get a lot of value out of it. It's pretty much just going to be overhealing with the occasional burst of healing for the throw flesh. But other than that, I wasn't going to really use it anywhere, so I just went ahead and sent it just to get a little bit of value out of it. I don't have a cooldown to send here, I don't really need one, but I am going to go ahead and continue to maintenance heal with Ancient Teachings, as well as have my mist spread just a little bit to take care of any throw flesh, just to take away that one global if I do need to end up actually healing someone directly with either Soothing Mist or just a Vivify or two. Weirdly enough, I like to pop Fallen Order here just to take care of any DPS that might be getting throw flesh while I'm fixated. So it is kind of something that is maybe a little funny looking, but I'm not going to be able to heal while I am running, so I want to make sure that my monks are out and they're kind of able to babysit people for me. The next time that I'm going to need Fallen Order is on the second Gauntlet pack, and that is going to be up by the time that I need it for that. This is another pack I think that takes people by surprise. The rot damage does quite a bit, but more importantly, that damage right there from the spit does a significant amount. I popped both cooldowns. I meant to only pop one there, so it's a little bit of a unfortunate situation on my part. Those buttons are right next to each other, and I kind of panicked. So I went ahead and just ate both of those. If you don't click diffuse before the visual has left his mouth, diffuse will not do anything for you. Very fun bug. So Fort Brew and Cocoon are your two biggest bets there, and then diffuse is kind of like a backup just in case. We're going to be targeting here just to get him out, get that CDR, get the healing and the damage from him. When the boss comes down with this hook, we are going to go ahead and actually spear through the Stitchflesh, and the creation. We're going to get some big value out of the spear there. I went ahead and popped Crane here as well just because I didn't want to end up actually losing someone after we had committed so many weapons. I think that we actually sent 2. We didn't mean to send those. We were trying to figure out actually what was happening with that, because someone was saying that they didn't spear, but it showed up as multiple, so a little bit of a hiccup there, but we have plenty of weapons for this boss still, as well as Lust, so I'm not super worried about cooldowns on this guy. He's gotten significantly easier as DPS are able to break through the shield faster. We did have a creation control undead. This is very similar to mind control. When you drop it, you have full threat, so unfortunately Zen got one-tapped by that. He's gonna run back while we kill this and wait for some cooldowns and wait for Lust. listing on pull and sending spears and hammers and such. Normally we would spear through the relic, whichever one we end up activating, but we didn't have a spear here because of the incident with the last boss that we were on. So we're gonna go ahead and just do this normally. Something to be aware of again is it's gonna feel like a lot more damage from the shields initially, just because you are not used to not having those Sargon shields, especially on such a high Tyrian key. Jambi ended up dying to a Comet Storm. I'm not sure what happened there, I can't remember what he said, but go ahead and just B-res him. We've got 2 left even after that, so we're just going to go ahead and continue the boss as normal. We've got Revival, and then we've got Chiji coming up as well. This boss isn't nearly as scary as it used to be, as I was saying. As we are wrapping up here, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. We are going to be doing similar to like we did for Season 2. We're going to have a 25 or higher key of everything on Fortified and Tyrannical as a Mistweaver, where I walk you guys through it, through each boss, through the trash packs, and kind of why I'm using cooldowns where, or why I'm holding, things like that. So I got really good feedback on this in Season 2. You guys seem to really enjoy these, so I'm going to be doing it again. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitch, Twitter, or Discord. Best way to reach me is usually Discord or when I'm live at Megasett at Twitch TV. So I hope this one was helpful. I will see you guys soon, and thank you for watching.